Hello, after a long absence. This is my Bible study, number 32, Matthew 8:14 through 17. When Jesus came into Peter's house, he saw Peter's mother-in-law lying in bed with a fever. He touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she got up and began to wait on him. When evening came, many who were demon-possessed were brought to him, and he drove out the spirits with a word and healed all the sick. This was to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet Isaiah. He took up our infirmities and carried our diseases. Now, the first thing that comes to my mind in this piece of scripture is Peter was one of the apostles. And he had a wife. And he had a mother-in-law. And so that's why I believe that priests, servants of God, should be allowed to marry. But the second thing is, and in a couple Bible studies down the road, talk about demon possession. And that Jesus and later the apostles were able to drive out spirits and healed the sick. And I mean, right now, it's running of Jesus himself, because of what Isaiah said in Isaiah 53, which is, I mean, a great foreshadowing of Jesus, of the Christ. Isaiah 53:3. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and familiar with suffering. Like one from whom men hide their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. I mean, every place he went, I mean, people who didn't know what he was teaching was true, didn't know who he was, despised him, rejected him. Surely he took up our infirmities and carried our sorrows. Yet we considered him stricken by God, smitten by him, and afflicted. And I mean, he knows how we feel. He knows. He is the ultimate empath, because God is the ultimate empath. Knowing our pain, knowing how we feel, and trying to alleviate our suffering. I mean, I believe all of our suffering is caused by sin, by fear, by greed, by trying to do it our own way, trying to all these things that keep us away from God, away from our spirit, away from who we were made. We were made in God's image. That doesn't mean that God's a biped. That doesn't mean that God's white, God's black, God doesn't have a race. It means we were created in His spirit image. We were created as spirit. It's our soul that is in God's image. It's our spirit that's in God's image. And people thought that he was cursed by God. And 5, But he was pierced for our transgression, he was crushed for iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon him, and by his wounds we are healed. I mean, that describes Calvary. That describes Good Friday. And I mean, and this was written 500 years before Christ, 580. And knowing that he knows our pain, he lived our pain. And I mean, he is righteous. None of us are righteous. I mean, we try to be, but without him, we're nothing. And that is, I mean, the book of Matthew is a gospel showing, making the true link of Jesus as the Messiah foretold. Luke is, and so sometimes, I mean, when I just think about when I feel bad, when my anxieties are getting overwhelming, I just think, I mean, he feels my pain. He feels my pain. He knows what I'm going through. And I'm glad he does. I am glad. And I want to quote a quote from Philippians, which one of my friends, that's her favorite quote. 4:6-7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and petition with thanksgiving present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Jesus Christ. And I mean, I have to know, I mean, the anxiety that I feel, I mean, my previous video, I mean, it can be overwhelming at times. I mean, it can make me think, what the heck am I doing? And that's what Jesus does. I mean, Jesus heals the sick, the demon possessed, clear the demon possession, and I know he's healing me. It's taking, I mean, and not in the time I would like. Although Jesus is not a magic pill all the time. Jesus gives you what you need. God gives you what you need. And so that's basically all I need to say on this topic. But thank you.